Working hard isn't the problem, and ambition isn't bad, but you start losing yourself when achievement stops being an expression of purpose and becomes proof of worth. Most advice tells you to work harder or stop working altogether, but I disagree. It's to build success that actually reflects who you are and what you value most. Our social systems told you that wasn't possible, that the only path to success was to compromise or mask who you really are. But after nearly 20 years coaching senior leaders and high performers and overcoming my own perfectionist habits, I've seen that the people who sustain excellence long term, they have one thing in common. They don't chase approval. They protect alignment. Research supports this too. Intrinsic motivations, self-determined goals, and strengths alignment drive sustainable excellence far more than any external pressure could. Conversely, studies show that the achievement worth cycle is linked to higher anxiety, depression, and burnout. But there's a different and better way forward. By the end of this video, you'll have clarity on how to live with excellence without the crippling pressure, mental fatigue, and physical exhaustion that the constant chase for worth through achievement can bring. You'll know how to pursue high performance that's aligned, which makes it energizing and emotionally sustainable, what I call aligned ambition. If you're a perfectionist, overachiever, or high achiever who believes you must earn approval and acceptance through endless striving, you risk losing yourself if you don't start crafting a life of sustainable excellence and aligned ambition now. But it's important to understand that losing yourself doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens slowly through the stories we're told about success and belonging, and the moments we start believing them, even when they were never meant to define us. It occurs quietly through the messages our social systems taught and continue to teach you about success and belonging. For instance, most children were praised for their grades and performance, not for being themselves. Workplaces still reward visibility and productivity more than purpose or well-being. And on social media, your follow account can determine who gives you the time of day. So you learn to live in a constant state of proving, always chasing the next signal that you're enough. Not necessarily because you're trying to obtain success, but because you're trying to avoid loss of relevance, loss of acceptance and belonging. A client of mine once came to me after being made redundant. He was very accomplished, was confident and respected in his field, but redundancy was a huge blow for him, and he was incredibly lost. When I suggested he just pause to explore what he really wanted next, he resisted. He wanted to get straight back into the same kind of role in the same kind of environment. And as we unpacked that urgency, it became very clear that his motivation wasn't growth, it was fear. Fear of losing relevance, fear of what people might think, especially on LinkedIn. He had built such rigid rules around what success was supposed to look like that he was completely blind to what he actually wanted. That's what it can look like to lose yourself for the sake of excellence. Your decisions start chasing certain sentences you're hoping others will say when you succeed. Common ones are things like, I respect you, I accept you, I see you as worthy. And often you don't even realize it's happening because these are subconscious desires. Accomplishments become the way you try to earn and hear those words. So like I asked my client, take a moment and ask yourself, what are you hoping to hear from others or from your own inner critic when you finally achieve everything you're striving for? That answer reveals more about your deepest needs than any goal ever could. Losing yourself in the pursuit of ambition can also appear as slow and subtle compromise of values. You might start to see gaps between what you say matters and what your daily choices show. In my video, Perfectionists Ditch Approval and Build a Life That's Yours, I spoke about how I worked with someone once who said they valued family, but their calendar showed the opposite. Values are evidenced in what we do, not what we declare. But instead of being guided by values, your goals shift from pursuing meaning to simply avoiding failure which can sometimes show up in how you treat others. You begin to expect from them what you demand from yourself. And over time, the perspective of what matters and what is worthy of your emotional investment starts to fade. Your sense of worth and even your mood are often tied to the outcomes you produce. When things go well, then you feel good about yourself briefly. And if they don't, you punish yourself. So the harder you try to feel enough through your achievements, the worse you feel. Research shows us what this loss of self actually looks like in real life. A 2022 meta-analysis in Frontiers in Psychology found that people with strong perfectionistic tendencies report greater emotional exhaustion, lower self-compassion, and strained relationships. Another study from the Journal of Personality and Individual Differences found that self-critical perfectionists are more likely to experience chronic stress, irritability, and conflict at home and at work. So losing yourself isn't just about overworking. It's about losing perspective, connection, and sometimes compassion, both for yourself and for others. This eroding self-compassion can even show up as neglecting basic needs like your sleep, your food, or rest. I used to believe that rest was something to earn, but we don't earn air to breathe. So why do we treat rest, a biological necessity, as something to be deserved through exhaustion first? Neglecting these basics is often a signal that your excellence has become unsustainable. Over time, this leads to emotional detachment. It's a state psychologists call self-alienation, which means the gradual disconnect from one's needs, emotions, and values. Underneath everything I've described so far is usually a set of very rigid beliefs and rules. These rules once helped you cope, but now they keep you trapped. The danger is the more you cling to them, the more familiar they feel, just like a friend that you can rely on, even though they're quietly harming you. These rigid beliefs, like I can't stop, I must achieve, I need to prove, I haven't earned, start to feel like safety, but they're not safety, they're a prison. That's why when clients reach this point, I ask them my 3 safety eject questions to help them start reorienting. The 3 questions are: what truly matters right now? What are you truly trying to receive and feel from all this striving? And what do you truly want to give through all your ambitions? Take a moment to answer them honestly yourself, or save this video and come back to them later. Because the moment you do, you stop running on fear and start steering from truth. When you realize how easy it is to lose yourself, and we are all susceptible to this, the question becomes, how do you come back from it? That's where my CAPE framework comes in, and I'd love to share it with you today. It's something I developed through years of client work and my own experiences, and it's a way to rebuild excellence from the inside out, with C for clarity, A for alignment, P for purpose, and E for experimentation. Most conversations about perfectionism stop at awareness, but awareness alone doesn't create change. But over here, we'll also focus on the practical steps and strategies that create real shifts. So with CAPE, everything begins with clarity. It's not about what you should want, but what genuinely matters to you and what you hope for. This is where you uncover what you're really chasing and why. So many perfectionists inherit goals that once belonged to their parents or belong to their teachers and bosses. And so they spend years climbing ladders that don't even lean against their own wall. That's the self-alienation I mentioned earlier in action. Apart from identifying what matters to you and what you're really chasing and why, a practical way to start finding clarity is by exploring your core values. Values aren't wish lists, they're what you actually believe. Look at where your time, attention, and energy actually go. That's what you currently value. Then ask yourself, is this what I want to keep valuing? Drop a comment below. What's one thing you want to stop valuing in 2026 and why? I'd love to hear it. Research from self-determination theory shows that people motivated by intrinsic goals, goals rooted in personal meaning and values, sustain higher performance, creativity, and well-being compared to those who are chasing external approval. So the goal isn't to eliminate ambition, it's to re-anchor it in clarity. The other layer of clarity involves your beliefs. Here, you identify the hidden rules silently running your life. Things like rest is lazy, slowing down means falling behind. I have to be exceptional to be safe. Once you see these hidden rules, you can question whether they even still serve you. Now that you know what truly matters to you, the next step is alignment, making sure your world actually supports it. This is where you audit your environment. You audit your work and your habits too, through my 4 lenses. The first question as part of this audit is what multiplies your clarity? That means what truly expands what matters most to you. The second is what helps, what supports your values, desires, and new beliefs. The third is what's just neutral, what doesn't harm but doesn't quite support your clarity either. And the last is what sabotages it, what drains or contradicts your clarity. Most perfectionists skip this step because they treat everything as equally urgent, overextending in areas that don't deserve it. But clarity without alignment still leads to exhaustion. Another way I help clients align is through strengths-based planning. In my corporate work with a strengths assessment, I've seen again and again that when people use their key strengths daily, they experience what I call easy excellence, progress that feels natural instead of forced. Gallup research supports this. People who use their top strengths each day are 6 times more engaged with their work and significantly more resilient under stress. Here are 3 questions you would ask here. Where are my strengths multiplying outcomes? Where are they in overdrive, creating stress or conflict? Which strengths am I neglecting altogether? Alignment isn't about doing more. It's about removing friction. When your decisions, your relationships, strengths, and environment line up with what you value and what matters most to you, excellence starts to feel lighter, not heavier. And from there, you're ready to move toward purpose, the impact you want to have now you're clear and aligned. Purpose is what keeps you from going astray once you've found clarity and alignment. It's how you direct your work and your ambition toward contribution instead of constant proving. Here you can ask, how do I want to contribute? How do I want to use my strengths for impact in my life and the lives of others? What problems do I want to solve? A senior leader I coached rediscovered this after years of proving herself. Every goal she'd ever set came from fear. Fear of being overlooked, fear of being replaced or forgotten. And when we reframed her goals around impact rather than external validation, she said she felt so free and confident. This step also includes defining the cost you're no longer willing to pay for excellence. And this helps you establish well-considered boundaries that are anchored in clarity, alignment, and meaning. And this again makes your ambitions more sustainable. The cost you're not willing to pay could be related to joy, rest, relationships, or health. Research from the Harvard Business Review shows that professionals who consciously define non-negotiable boundaries experience 20 to 30% lower burnout risk, while maintaining the same output. Sustainable excellence isn't about doing less. It's about knowing what you really prioritize and where your best contribution lies. And not only can this be fueled by your unique strengths, but your perspective, how you see the world, and your unique wisdom, which is what only you have learned through your life experiences. When you direct all of this with clarity and alignment, your ambition is no longer driven by fear, but guided by conviction. And that's when you become unstoppable. Purpose gives direction, but practice and experimentation is where you start testing, refining, and living what matters most. So finally, we arrive at experiment in the CAPE framework. Here you design small and simple experiments that let clarity, alignment, and purpose show up in your daily life, not just in theory. This might mean infusing more of your values into your schedule and into your daily decisions in a practical way. You could use your strengths in new ways or remove the things that sabotage your clarity and purpose that we discussed earlier, for instance. Each small experiment gives you data and feedback, and that refines your clarity, alignment, and purpose even further. Progress doesn't come from big leaps. It comes from constant and consistent experiments that make your new definition of success feel lived, not just written. Ambition isn't the problem. It's what you anchor it to, because that determines whether it expands you or erases you. You can either anchor it to your self-worth or in clarity, alignment, and purpose, where achievement becomes an honest expression of who you are and what you believe. That's aligned ambition, because we can probably all agree the costs of losing yourself that we explored at the beginning are too high a price to pay. If this spoke to you, Perfectionists, Ditch Approval and Build a Life That's Yours is a must watch next. And join my private newsletter, Excellence and Ease, where you'll learn how to aim high without burning out, getting stuck in paralysis or losing yourself. The link is in the description below. See you there.